hand, please turn to page 2 of your program. Turn to page 2 of your program, because we have a question for the panel that I'm going to start by putting to you, the audience. And you will have 5 minutes in which to answer it beforehand. And I'm going to come to you again at the end of their panel and see if they've changed your mind. And if nothing's changed, well, we've lost nothing.
Hans.
But if they have done what I think they might do, 1 or 2 minds may have been changed. So turn to page 2 of your program, and at the bottom right, you will see questions for the audience. And if you go to the link there, which is http://fbr.io. That's fbr.io, and enter the code FORUM.
It's amazing.
F-O-R-U-M, FORUM. We will ask you, please, to answer the following question, which is the question before the panel. Is Europe taking advantage right now of M2M and IoT? In your view, is Europe taking advantage of M2M and IoT? You can interpret that question how you like. Is that taking full advantage? I don't know, read it how you like, but is Europe taking advantage of M2M and IoT? If you've got a device, go on there, vote yes or no, and then we will enjoy the panel, who are going to do exactly the same. They're going to discuss under the able chairmanship of Dr. Karim Taga, who is managing partner of AD Little, a leading consultancy firm in the world of IoT. And I can't think of anybody better to hand you over to. Karim.
Thank you for the introduction. Welcome back. I'm still seeing guests coming in. Please feel free to have seats. Give a hand to the panelists. They will do the job. Welcome them. I think it's an interesting setup. We have regional players. We have international players. We're talking about the telcos now. We have ICT suppliers and system integrator. So I'm sure that they will each defend the position. We have a very local player from Slovenia. Welcome. So I think you see that each of the players is in this field trying to position himself. There is a lot of value to extract. I hope that the first session was inspiring for you, and I guess it was. Otherwise, you will not come back. Now, I will not spend time to introduce each speaker. I think you can see their function and their organizations. The title is a bit provocative, because if I just flash back on the value creation in the digital ecosystem space, I will be later on giving a presentation to an MBA class, and I was looking again at the evolution for the last 5 to 7 years on where the value has been created in the digital ecosystem. Digital ecosystem means the network suppliers, the operators, goes up to the content producer and the internet companies. And if you look at the evolution between Europe, US, and Asia, it's quite dramatic. We used to be the leaders, if you recall the first wave, about the telecom and devices. Remember, we had the Nordic companies, the Nokias of this world. We had the German company, the Siemens of his word, producing the standard GSM, etc. We had a phenomenal growth up to the feature phones, I would say. So the combination of device and network and connectivity were the kings, and we were exporting the technology globally. Then the internet companies came in, GAFA, the Google, Apple, and so on, came in and captured a large chunk of revenues, and their market capitalization are the biggest across all industries. But they all were taking advantage of a wonderful growth. We talk about 30% CAGR the last 5 years in what we call the digital ecosystem. The third wave, which we're in right now, and which is creating huge value, is around the digital services. And I'm thinking of what you know of in terms of Uber. It's nothing else than an internet platform. Or Airbnb, they don't own hotels. As you know, they only manage transactions. They have the trust and their trade, so to say. You have Alibaba. So all these big companies now are not in Europe. The unicorn are in China or the US. So yet we have not managed to capture, just to give an idea, 1/3 of the total revenues in the overall digital ecosystem is in Europe from the US. So if you take the 180 biggest companies in these segments, we are making 1/3 of the value of the US and 1/3 of the value of Asia. Asia driven by the device manufacturer, right? Samsung of this word, the Huawei. I have an iPhone and I have a P9, and both of them are not produced in Europe. I used to have European products. So now the question is, we've seen a huge potential in the topic of IoT, Industry 4.0, you name all the buzzwords, and the question is, will we be in a position to win back certain market? And I would like to hear from the panelists their local perspective, but also their global perspective, as some of the companies are quite global. So, who would like to kick off and first of all comment on the opportunity you see generally, why you're here today, right? What makes you interested and what's your message, so to say, in this area, and then we can dig into more detail. So who would like to start? Perhaps not the one who started, give the impulse. I like very much, by the way, the shift to value pricing, so think of the value bring the customer. So perhaps we can build on that. So who would like to start? Lars is looking at me like he wants to start. Go ahead.
See if the mic works. Hello, everyone. Great to be here. And I'm representing the Nordic guys then, I guess, today. So we're a small challenger, and the way we look upon it is, of course, that also in the IoT world, we see an opportunity to challenge. And first of all, I would like to say, I mean, we believe that there's a great opportunity for Europeans to take back the initiative on IoT, of course, because IoT, in many instances, is of course a global business, and that's the way we look upon it. We don't see any boundaries when it comes to being able to provide services on IoT, and we actually look upon it as an opportunity that goes well beyond our footprint today. And I think that from that perspective, I think that Europe, that, as you said, had a stronghold within the telecom space, should be able to leverage on that experience still, being very, very good when it comes to providing both licensed network solutions as well as unlicensed network solutions as well. I think one of the very important things then when it comes to being able to take a global opportunity is, of course, to build global partnerships. And that, I believe, we have a view that the way to reach that global potential is through partnerships, rather than trying to dominate specific verticals as an operator, rather than going out and find the best of breed and trying to go to the market together towards the customer as well. So that is the way we believe you should take it. You shouldn't see it as an opportunity that you need to dominate yourself, but you should see it as an opportunity to go to market, best of breed, to service the customer with the greatest opportunities.
Lars, I must say that I'm quite surprised to see you here, by the way, because your company, and particularly for the Austrian market, and also certain South Eastern European market like Croatia where you're present, you are more known for consumer and more known for, say, for North Real kind of a perspective and a very strong brand in the consumer. So obviously you believe in this market, because this is, I would say, at the other extreme of what your current success story is about. So basically, you're looking at betting into winning in a new market, which is about enterprise, and as you said, connectivity is one play, but the other one is to find the right partner. So I assume that partnership, as Ansgar mentioned, as being one of the key, let's say, success factor, would be your core of your strategy and then positioning the next years.
Yes,
Can
for
you
sure.
elaborate on that a bit more?
No, I mean, I don't think, I mean, we're coming from the consumer end, but it should be said that our IoT business is actually a separate unit, and I think that we're trying our best as a fairly mature operator to take care of the entrepreneurship that we have in the IoT business, and that it's going to be interesting to see what the other ones are saying. But I strongly believe that you need to take care of your IoT business and run it in a very different way, and that is the way I look upon it. That IoT needs to be able to run and find also its own opportunities without being held back by rigid processes that an operator might have. So having said that first, I mean, the IoT business is a new business within Tele2 with its own fate outside of the traditional consumer business that we have come to be known for then. Then I think, I mean, the way we sell M2M services today is, of course, many of them will end up at the consumer. And there are other things that we actually don't make a big difference between a business-to-business person and a business-to-consumer person. I mean, they are all customers, and they should be treated with that respect in the sense that they are more or less partners to us, and together, which I did like very much from Deutsche Telekom in the sense that look upon it as a mutual benefit for the customer as well. So from the business to business, I mean, we come from business to consumer, but IoT is very much a separate business for us, but we believe that we treat the customer in the same way anyway, so to speak. And then you can say, I mean, it's a business to business to consumer, or is it business to business to business to consumer, whatever it is. I mean, somewhere in some form, it's going to end up with the consumer anyways, most likely.
So interesting you said that you started with a new business unit, and this is something that, give you the word, Bernd, that Telecom Austria started very early to create a separate company even to address this market. So eventually you highlight a bit, that was not a natural move, we haven't seen that with many operators, but why creating a separate company and starting a big bet, and eventually you can share with us, beyond the connectivity, how do you segment the market around that? And why do you believe that in Europe we can position ourselves? If you can elaborate on these two questions, please.
Yeah. So we founded our own M2M spinoff back in 2011. And why did we do that? First of all, because we have seen that in the M2M space, much more flexibility is needed. We need to be much quicker. Traditional processes that we would have in our company would probably make us too slow. We need to be much more flexible when it comes to partnering. We also need to work with, let's say, systems that are not based on our legacy architecture, because that would also make it like too expensive, too inflexible. I heard from a colleague from another telco operator once, they are working strongly with their legacy base. So if they want a change, it's 2 years, 2 millions. And that is something that we need to change rather to 2 days and 2K. When we originally started in 2011, we were focusing on the managed connectivity side of it. So how to help all these businesses out there that have connected products and to provide connectivity in a way that is supporting their business models as well. We are talking about M2M and IoT for a long time. Still, like, we are on our way, and the growth is constant, but it's not skyrocketing growth from one year to another. It's rather a steady and strong development. So what we did was to start to accompany our B2B customers in making their product lines smart, in connecting their assets in the field, and we did that in the cases where we were too early with SIMs. Because, I don't know, a company that is thinking about building a new product line which is not based on the one-time selling, but rather on the managed service, and they need to think about how to connect it, which communication modules to use, which middleware, which applications to build. You know, having SIMs, it's not the right moment. So that is one thing that we did, and for the verticals that we have seen the best fit for our existing assets, because there's a lot of assets that telcos have beyond connectivity. It's about our field service, which is out there. It's about our capabilities in purchasing, in logistics, in testing, quality management. And for these verticals, we started to provide end-to-end, like smart metering, like asset tracking, like fleet management.
Thank you, Bernd. So you already made your bets on the area where you wanted to invest in terms of segments. So it's more not the horizontal layer, as you mentioned before. So I see that the differentiation between the two is you took the utility area, the fleet management, so some very specific sectors.
And one thing is very important, which I want to underline. It's not either or. So of course, connectivity very much is the base for a telco operator. For certain areas, for certain use cases, we developed competence and the setup to offer end-to-end. Not everything.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you. Branko, you're a local player.
I'm a local player.
You believe into the local business.
Not so much.
Okay,
Not so
go
much.
ahead.
We believe in the local business as a core business, but we see also IoT as opportunity maybe to grow internationally. So as a small country, we have always a problem of economy of scale. So economy of scale especially is present in business to consumer, but also business to business. So I think we skipped a few of the phases and directly went to verticals. So we are working on the health vertical, on IoT. We are working also on energy, on IoT. We are working on billing, which will be probably quite soon implemented and then resold to different platforms. And we have even a plan how to earn out of it in the next 5 years. We split it from the core business to venture businesses that are led and ruled directly by the board. So let's say we sponsor the initiatives directly. So we believe that a country and a company like we are, quite a small, are maybe a big enabler to bigger companies or showing a road to bigger companies, how can it be done. Now we maybe didn't do still big steps, but in a year and a half, I think the situation will be quite different.
We'll come back to further details later on, but I see also your role in accompanying your national companies that are expanding in the region as one of the trusted party, which is already your customer as a B2B, so it's one way of expanding with them and enabling their business through new technology that emerge.
Yes.
Why don't you go to Tomislav? So I mean, what you hear is fantastic for you because we hear from Bernd that you obviously need to connect the platforms to the existing ERP system of companies to accompany their businesses. So it's an end-to-end business, and for that you need a lot of system integration, which is the sweet spot of your company, I understand. So where do you see the challenge, and how are you approaching the go-to-market? Because whatever we said and done so far, this market in terms of revenue has been quite disappointing. So we all, as Ansgar was saying, in the business plan, you always push for the next year to see the same curve, but it's coming. We all know it's coming. It's slower than expected. So how would you deal with that?
Okay, so I think it's really a large market, a large potential, and maybe you mentioned at the beginning, is Europe ready? There are also a lot of projects which are great, widely known, like Hamburg Port, for example, Trenitalia, Piaggio, smart trams here in Linz. So there are really like some nice references. But in terms from a system integration point of view, it's where to start. First, it starts with an idea. Yeah, it always starts with an idea that has to be shared with the customer. So I will talk about enterprise IoT here. So it has to be shared, has to be accepted in a way, like what you want to do, like with specific scenario. Secondly, this customer has to find the right partner who can actually integrate all of these things, because IoT projects are quite complex in a sense. Then I think the third obstacle, maybe how to start, is the return on investment and business case is not so clear as with traditional IT systems. So customers have to make some kind of leap of faith to believe in it and to make some investments, even though the numbers may not be up there up front. So then there are technical issues like network bandwidth. There can be unpredictable bursts of a network, especially if we connect cameras and high definition things. Then choosing the right software platform, it's also a big topic, and how to go there. There are obstacles in IT security. The more we connect to these things, the IT security becomes even more important. Privacy issues, different kind. I heard one bank would like to implement face recognition software as a person enters the branch, so immediately they know who is coming in, and the teller already knows, like, this is this person, and he can get the welcome, like, hi, Karim, how are you? How is your business card working for you? And I don't know, maybe you have your favorite drink. They set you on the side, but is it really, can it be done with the current regulation?
From a compliance perspective and consumer protection, right?
So I think there are a lot of obstacles, but this is why I think for the customers it's extremely important they choose the right partner, because no company, I don't think, right now can do everything by itself. So we really talk about business networks, strategic alliances with different vendors, telco, infrastructure, IT security, software vendors, support, and then of course how you want to position this project in the future, in which business model, how you want to generate the revenue. So I think it's quite complex, and but really interesting. I don't think there's anything more interesting in the IT world right now.
But we were talking also about business model changes, or if you come with an idea and you fix a problem, or you help the customer to resolve their let's say, issue, whether it's a cost or whether it's a differentiation in the market with a new service, are you also adapting a business model to revenue share? Are you also co-investing and creating eventually a joint venture, as I've seen some of the telcos doing so? How far are you in terms of taking a risk?
Well, yeah,
because if I think of your business unit, Trafficcom,
yes.
right? You're already taking the risk of operating
Exactly.
a managed service for the trucks and winning a license in multi-country. It's not very different from the IoT, but there you set up a company and you are in a PPP model in many instances. So, what's your experience there?
There's definitely different ways how to set it up. Of course, yeah. So Kapsch has been doing IoT for many years. Yeah, if we talk about toll collection and so on. But I think it really depends on a specific company. I have discussion with one company where they want to really do co-invest 50-50 on a new business model, but it's still relatively new. So I think that's one of the options. Complete outsourcing is another option. Just a simple system integration projects is another option. So I think there's many different ways, and there is no standard way how to approach this. Mm-hmm. So because every customer, every use case is different. Everything is, I would say, tailor-made, and really requires open discussion and trial and error basis, I think.
So nevertheless, you have to rethink also not only selling solution or your classical follow your business model, but eventually in terms of risk sharing, go beyond your current model.
Exactly.
Thank you. One question with regards to, you're coming from Czech Republic, obviously.
Yes, but I'm Croatian originally.
So Croatian. So what is your, in terms of footprint, would you be able to say that some of the markets in Eastern Europe are more advanced, and perhaps you can also answer that, as this is supposed to be in Central Eastern European, also Austrian event. So if you think of investing, what are the most mature market? And this could be something relevant for all the players here.
Well, I think from macroeconomics, Czech Republic is doing quite well, so I think it's quite stable. It's a great place to invest. Poland, just by the sheer size. Of course, there is some now concerns about Poland, but Hungary is also quite advanced in this area. So I think you can find many places to invest.
Is it driven by government initiatives?
No,
or is it driven by the private sector or multinational companies like Slovenia has, Gorenje has many local company, Croatia as well with Atlantic, etc.
Exactly.
So,
no, it is
but
definitely.
what is the driver?
It is definitely bottom up. So there are a lot of startup companies or private companies that want to do a different business model. We see a lot of these examples. Hospitality will be another big thing, I tell you, in the IoT. So in the whole hotel industry, resorts, how to handle tourists, auto camping. It's a big topic. So, but it really comes from the bottom. I don't think that you can approach it a different way.
Alexander, before coming to you, just one point that I want to raise.
Actually, we do see both, because there is certain topics like fiscal cash registers, where some of the Southeastern European countries, they pushed like very early and strongly in that topic, and it's also an M2M use case. So these are beyond the, let's say, biggest use cases that some of our subsidiaries have in this area of the world. And on the other hand, like if you think about metering, which was more advanced in Austria and came earlier here, so depends also on the regulatory and legal framework in the countries. And then, of course, there's also this push from the bottom, where we do see, like through the whole footprint, more depending on the companies that are active and the entrepreneurial power that you have in these ones.
Interesting entrepreneurial power. I take it from both of you. Alexander, I think you already gave a perspective, and actually was very early in this process. So perhaps you share with us this natural positioning that Germany has as a very strong industry, and also a lot of small and medium enterprises building the overall, let's say, economical development. Is that an advantage for you, and how can you export that position you have with Industry 4.0 and others?
First of all, I mean, we have to follow our customers, and we all have customer bases. And so first we have to go into the customer bases and to see what are the requirements, what problems should be solved for the customer. And I think coming back to your headline, I think three things here. The first is we have to follow our customers and their worldwide needs. So can we take advantage? Yes, definitely. We have customers in Germany, but also in our other subsidiaries, and I think it's in every European countries who are doing business around the world. And we have to deliver a solution, and we have to help them. As we don't have this clear structured market like China or US, who have one regulator and one clear set of rules, and we have this 35 countries conglomerate here in Europe with, I don't know, 85 carriers and 900 IT providers, it's much more complex. But this is an advantage because we are used to do partnering. We had to anyway. So everybody was in his telco business is a very national business. So we had to do it anyway for years. And for example, Deutsche Telekom has a T-Systems company with operations in 50 countries because our customers wanted us to be present there. So we have 2,800 people in Brazil, for example. Yeah. So following the customer needs. So outbound Europe, it's a big chance. Inbound Europe, that's really poor what we're doing. Because for Chinese or American companies with strong, let's say, willingness to sell their products, either it's an industrial product or it's a consumer product into Europe, it's completely horrible what we offer here. Mm-hmm. So they have to cope with 35 countries. So, and then that's why aggregators have a big chance right now to do the business, but the aggregators are probably not the tier one telcos or the telcos. So there's a new field coming up, and we have to really wake up as carriers to offer partners from China and from the US or from Latin America really a European solution. We have founded this GMA, Global M2M Association, where we have Orange, Deutsche Telekom, and TeliaSonera, and also Telecom Italia in there, which by that we can cover 95% of Europe, but it's a very complex construction. So it's not easy to handle that. Yeah. So that's the second one. And the third one is then the domestic or regional markets that we have. How can we learn from that? We talked about smart cities today, and for me, I had the opportunity to go to China and to South Korea, and I went to the US, and I saw what's going to happen there, and I think we're in the medieval age here somehow, yeah? So there's a lot of things, but again, Europe is different. There are some countries more advanced on that one, and some countries are really less advanced. In the last 4 years, I think there have been implemented 200 million HD cameras in public spaces. I think in Germany, 5,000 out of the 200 million. Yeah, so there's still a debate like, oh, is it good or not? Whereas, for example, in London, you have them all over the place, and it's there. So, but this is this is Europe, yeah? And so we are completely different in our behavior, in our lobbyism, in our legal structures. So that's a difficult one. Can we make it? Yes, we can. In following our customers worldwide, this is a rule set because we have the customer connection. But if we don't take care and really do that, we will lose this contact.
My strong takeaway here is obviously the fragmentation of Europe. So for the inbound, it's quite complex, particularly for large enterprises who want to do a business in Europe, whom they should address their needs to. And if you don't get the acts along the telecom operator together, and that includes also the smallest country, it's very important that you guys come up with an operating model that makes the life of the large enterprises easy and not more complex. And you mentioned GMA. I think we all know the positioning of the different players. So eventually you can comment on that as well, as you're not part of the GMA. So how are you handling the largest requirements from
Sure.
multinational companies?
Yeah. Just one comment when it comes to how mature or how advanced developed is a specific country. I think the way we have experienced it's more how advanced or sophisticated is a particular company. Mm-hmm. How far have they come when it comes to thinking about a clear IoT strategy as well? And I think we had it from one of your colleagues before. I think it was Salesforce.com that came up with it first with SaaS. And now everyone is looking for the opportunity to create something that is as a service as well. And we see it, and the companies that we work with that comes the furthest have started to think in that direction. It can be anything from automotive to more traditional cyclical industries as the welding industry as well, where we're seeing one of our customers, one of the world's largest welding companies, has come as far as selling now welding as a service, and that we never thought would happen. And you always talk about consumer-oriented IoT as the most advanced, and here we talk about the welding industry doing a lot of good work when it comes to really spearheading on what you can do with IoT. So I think we should not get limited by thinking about how far have a country come. Yes, that is one dimension, but I think also it's very interesting to see how companies are developing as well and how far they come. We talk a lot about connected stuff, but very few, so far at least, has come to a position where they can say, yes, we connected these devices because we wanted to create something more out of it. It's not 1 + 1 = 2, it's something more. And that is what we're working very, very closely together with our customers and our partners to solve that for our customers, so to speak. So, and there we have a long way to go as well. Then when it comes to Europe, as a carrier, as a small challenger, I guess I share it with you when it comes to it as well. I think it's a good thing from our perspective that we see roaming rates coming down as well, and I think we are able to being able to provide connectivity. Now we talk about cellular connectivity, and we maybe should get away from being very technology specific as well. But on the cellular end, yes, we can provide connectivity in a very constructive way with our customers. But what we have said as well, and a promise that we're giving to our customers, that we should look upon it in a virtualized way. So if it's Sigfox, LoRa, Bluetooth 4.1, 4.2, satellite, wireless, Wi-Fi, so on, the customer shouldn't have to care. We will cater for that need and be able to service a connectivity layer that is then, bulletproof, hopefully, then for the customer. So we don't want to bog down the customer. We're talking about roaming rates, connectivity, and so on. We solve that for them, and then we ensure that they can take the next step on their evolution staircase and become a service provider.
That's needed to the second part of the discussion I'd like to trigger, which is on the challenge you face. So listening to you now, one of the key challenges you bring across is to deal with all this technology and somehow aggregate them, because it's your job to do that, and the customer doesn't want to get lured into this kind of discussion. So choices need to be made there, and that is one of the challenges.
And I think that if I just may build on that, and I'm not going to take too much airtime, but the thing is that actually we need to, as operators at least, be willing to get out of our comfort zone and trial new technologies as well. And it doesn't have to be on a national scale in that sense. We can do a small stuff as well. We're doing LoRa technology in the city of Gothenburg in Sweden. It doesn't cost us a whole lot, but we get a lot of experience back. We're doing LTE or IoT LTE or narrowband LTE as well in the part of Stockholm called Kista, which is a small part just. And we can trial together with the customers and see if it works and get business cases, proof of concepts running. So we get somewhere instead of trying to get the business plan in place that makes sense for the whole country. It doesn't make it.
We can make it pilot by pilot. Before going to the second section, which is about challenges, any question from the audience? The debate is smooth. Everybody seems to be happy, listening, obviously. So there is no question. Let's move on. The second part would be more on the challenges. So as we're running out of time at the same time, let us focus on the two challenges you think you need to fix to make this happen. Because, again, next year we'll be sitting here and looking at our business plan and seeing that actually we achieved only 20% of what we planned in 2017 or 16. Which is most of the cases, let's be frank. These processes are very slow because they're very complex. So what are the two challenges you need to fix and to deal with to make it faster this time? Whoever wants to start.
I mean,
you have 2 shots each.
Number one, we need to provide the tools to make M2M IoT easier extendable to new types of products, to new types of solutions, and that's very much related to the cost that is connected to it. So what we are doing is, like low power wide area was mentioned before, we are really setting our bets on narrowband IoT, which is like part of the LTE standard, and which will lead to really, compared to today, strongly reduced module costs, super battery power and super coverage, which means that new use cases will become possible. You can have a sensor in the street that runs for 5 to 10 years without you touching it for a price that you think it makes sense to provide the service that you want to provide. So that is one thing, and there we also need to push the ecosystem, because it's not only about the networks that we are providing, but it's very much about the connected product solutions, hardware that is being built, including that communication technology. And here I do see like an important role of the operators as well, because they can push it by connecting the solutions to the customers, and we are in contact with practically all the B2B customers, and not only B2B. That is something which will be like really, really important. And the other one is to sensibly understand where we can extend the value creation for us as a telco, where we can provide the full solution, where we can become a credible partner for certain industries, for certain verticals. And here, me personally, I think that is something which is very important, but it's also important to make very, don't get me wrong, but slow decisions here, so to decide very wisely which fields to enter and which ones not.
So to say,
because, you know, at the end of the day, you need to build up this competence within your team, within a sales team, within operations and delivery. It's not always sufficient to have a partner for something if you want to sell it yourself, right?
Eventually, one comment and eventually a wake-up call, or call it a war alarm or whatever. We start to see in the IoT space as well no-thrills players. And the competition around costs, the spill down, before even the market really takes off, you see some campaigns where some players are promoting a price at sub-cent and now even 0.5 to 3 cents per transaction. That means a huge pressure on the ecosystem to lower the cost of production. So you're, let's say, concern about the cost is become real because of the regional or even global competition coming. So that's definitely a valid point. Just want to emphasize on that critical, let's say, I don't know how much you offer your service per port on the smart grid for utility company, but expect in the future that this will become lower than a cent.
If you want, I can provide you with an offer later on.
Good, excellent. Okay, so we have 5 minutes and a sense. Let's take 20% more, 26 minutes. Quickly, we can discuss offline afterward. Thanks, Bernd. So just one or two
Sure. So I think
challenges.
From a system integration point of view, the largest challenge right now for us is to find the optimal alliances and the optimal partnerships with companies, with telco providers, with...
Are these the best partner for you?
Exactly. Now I have to choose one. They have a game today. You won yesterday, so we have a game tomorrow.
So the organizer made a good choice.
Yeah. But I think it's now really critical to build this the right portfolio of technologies and vendors and solutions, so that the end customer is completely satisfied and we get everything in time and within some budget. Yeah.
Thank you, Lars. With a lot of airtime.
Yeah, exactly. I'll make it short. I think that what we are spending a lot of time is, of course, to structure information as taking back control of information as well and moving up the value chain. I think you had a very good chart of that, and not taking away the thunder from our customers, of course, but taking ourselves up from just connectivity to also a structured data approach as well. And that's what we are spending a lot of time, and it's a big task for us, but we're really looking forward to crack that nut if we can.
As a relatively a newcomer in the business, I would say that I can see that the speed of technology, the speed of technology is quite higher than the speed of strategy. So I'm coming from a consumer business where the speed of strategy is much higher than technology. So we'll try to combine that. Here currently is present maybe too much product or technology orientation than strategy orientation. So the technology capabilities usually overpasses the ability to monetize it. And here we have finally a possibility to change this. As maybe, again, from a small country perspective, even the consumer business can be maybe a potential. But the problem we see is what is a platform and where the people meet, where the companies meet. And here, a lot of steps should be done. That means that probably the age of thousands of apps are done. But here, we are talking about 1, 2, 3 platforms where people can meet. We're talking about health, we're talking about smart homes, we're talking about banking and so on. But it's very unlikely that people will have 10 or 20 apps dealing with everyday life. That means that this is the point where we should meet, not so much only technology, because technology is even becoming a commodity, because everyone has the same. But OTT companies can pass us, and this is the speed of, they have a huge speed of strategy, though the technology investment is relatively low. That's why we want to transform our company more into an OTT company, and by that, partnering with other companies, go abroad. So, maybe.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
I think good that you brought also the spin on consumer. I've been seeing multinational, global telcos, think of Telefonica, etc., that have positioned themselves in the wearable, and there is a section tomorrow, where basically, or later on today, where there are people scouting out there in Silicon Valley, in Tel Aviv, everywhere, on the latest development on the wearables, and their position is to offer kind of concierge service in the shops where they are on that particular area. So you see that the operators are trying to get in all segments, including consumer, and this is eventually also one option for an incumbent in one country, that you become the gateway, so to say, the advisor within health and all service related to preventive medicine, which is part also of the wearable, right? So it's not only for entertaining, but also very much entertaining, starting with the augmented reality, virtual reality, up to, so to say, health services. So an interesting approach. Let's come back next year and see how far you are with that.
Oh, we are fine.
Alexander, please.
Last
but not least.
Yeah, I like your point with the strategy and technology, and this is also my bet is the value-based pricing, as you all know. But this one is also very good. We're talking about technology and not about business models. I never saw this in my business career as it is right now. People are really like cloud and M2M and narrowband and so on and all these things. But if you then ask, okay, derive it from a business model. So what's the point? So this is one thing, and the second one actually is the security part. We haven't touched it today. Yes. It's completely different. A machine cannot do his privacy buttons in there. A machine cannot protect itself. So we have a completely, and then you have a central office putting one message to all the machines. And so there's a lot of things going to happen, and this is a different way of security has to be. And so this is something we outside of consideration. We ask the carriers or the IT providers to make it really cheap, to really efficient. But on the other hand, there are very high demands on security for industrial, at least for industrial applications. So we will face that much more in the future, and we will see that also, I think, in the conferences the upcoming years. So what kind of protection mechanisms we build in, and so on, so on.
So this is definitely the challenge. If you look at Industry 4.0, where you connect actually human with machine and with products, the whole point is to leverage ICT technologies to connect the whole thing, and security is a key game. If you think of a McDonald's, so to say, or someone who does surgery, a doctor, both will be wearing Google Glass or whatever comes later, which is controlling a machine, but then you will be controlling the product. Sometimes it's a human, sometimes it's something you take away from the shop and use, and still be connected to the internet. But if you buy a TV today, that is a smart TV, all your personal data will be in that TV. So from the design of the product, from the machinery up to the human, everything is somehow linked, and any breach there will cause huge issues on the liability, right? Who is liable at the end? Is it the system integrator? Is it the telco?
Take the example of a mobile phone. Companies invest in security, on controlling the applications for the business needs on the phone. They invest the same money per month than on the connectivity part. So already there, because you have to protect the data. So I mean, this is a new category which is really arising. Yeah.
I'm sure we can talk much longer than that. So first of all, please give them a hand. I think they did a good job. Eventually, one question, if there is any burning question. Otherwise, the gentlemen will be around and feel free to approach them. They all share their perspective, why they're here, why they believe into the market, and more importantly, also the challenge they still have to fix to make real money out of this business. Thanks to you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Mr. Lars.